Hello YouTube video watchers, welcome to our YouTube channel. This YouTube video is brought to you by Kangarootime. So at Kangarootime we do three very specific things. We automate the business, so all your payments, all your billing, clocking in, clocking out, keeping track of time with your teachers, everything to do with the business we automate with our childcare management system. We also have a classroom automation platform which gives your teachers nudges and prompts at point of care. So feedings, diaper changes, and the ability to communicate with your parents. We also have a world-class parent engagement platform that hardwires your parents and families into the early education experience. So please check us out and enjoy the video. Thanks everybody.
Oh, there we go.
How do I broadcast?
You broadcasted. You did it.
Oh,
Welcome,
great.
everyone.
All right, yeah, hello everyone. I accidentally broadcast.
Step one complete, Scott.
Engeline, where are you calling in from? Are you in New York?
Yes, I'm in Queens in New York City.
Oh, cool. Great.
Looks like we have a bunch of people joining. Genevieve, yeah, where are you located?
I'm in our headquarters in Buffalo, New York.
Is it starting to warm up there?
It is. It has been super hot here. I think it's like almost like 82 degrees today. So it's been really nice. It's the weather that we wait for all year.
Yeah, we're getting some humidity here as well. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Genevieve, do you want to promote Bernard?
Yes, I will.
Awesome.
Looks like we have a lot of New Yorkers joining us as well. Also, we have Anna from Chula Vista in California. Hello to everybody. Hey, Bernard.
Hey, Bernard. All right, guys, we'll get started here. We've got, looks like a few more people joining us. Really appreciate it. So this is a little bit of a departure from our typical webinar series. We've been doing a lot of content on COVID-19 and a lot of mental health focus, a lot of staff focus. But today we're going to talk operations and product. So tools and modalities that make your center fall within the strike zone of delivering a safe environment for your parents and families. We've been hearing so much about touchless or contact-free when it comes to procuring things like groceries, food, rental cars, any and all things. And it's been really interesting to watch and see how digital ecosystems are built around facilitating that. We'll get into it, but first, for many of you here, I see some familiar names. I know many of you have already joined the KT Childcare Connect Facebook group. Please join. Please join. If you're not already a member, join. This is where we have those interesting, in-depth conversations about what's going on in early education, what we're doing as employers, the stewardship that we have in helping our families not only build bodies, souls, and minds with their children, but also things that we're reckoning with, like the mental health paradigm, dealing with employees, running our businesses, operating. All that's here. Also, our data team is sharing real numbers here. So things like how many check-ins and check-outs are happening. And guys, good news. So our data today, this is our biggest payments day that we've had since March 19th, since everything shut down. And we're not quite on par with our first of the month payment volumes for our centers, but we're getting there. And it seems like there's good news on the horizon. And those numbers keep escalating. So that data, our data science team, our digital storytellers will be here. And then many of you who are sharing and talking about PPP, employees, new normal with process and inside your centers, the conversations are there. I'd like to invite each and every one of you to also subscribe to our blog. Genevieve, as many of you know, we shifted from the relentless pursuit of most companies, which is growth, 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 to advocacy. You know, we're all in this together. On March 19th, we made the decision, let's shut down our marketing machine, our top of the funnel machine, and let's focus all that effort into getting you all in the industry, the leaders here, as much content as possible, as much orientation, real data, circumventing like what, you know, the pandemonium that we often see in the media. It's nonpartisan, but we've been really encouraged and grateful for the number of partnerships we've had with people like Holly Alyssa Bruno, or Beth Cannon here, some of the childcare industry legends, Vernon Mason, every week, Hani Wilshansky, Shirley Witt, all the great minds in childcare, we've been able to aggregate them and do hours and hours of content. So that's my final ask. As we do these webinars, we've been posting them on the Kangarootime YouTube channel. This number, 277 subscribers, is pathetic. There's so much great data here. We need you all subscribing. And the beauty of it is when we post new data or new content, you get it. You get an email, smash the subscribe button, like our videos. We're not monetizing this, but this is a knowledge base that exists in perpetuity for you. So please check it out. Okay, real quick housekeeping. I need to promote Bernard. How do I do that, Genevieve?
Yeah, so if you just look for him in the attendees on the right hand of the screen, he's in there, and you just need to, it'll give you an option if you hover over his name to promote him to a panelist.
And he better have his camera on. There he is. There he is. Wait, did we block his camera? It's like there's a handsome filter. So if he's so handsome, he's not gonna show. But hey, Bernard, are you there? He's there, but maybe he's just playing the long game. All right, so Genevieve, where do we go from here? Am I going to start out and kind of talk about?
Yeah, so we maybe want to get started, and we can give a little bit of an overview of Kangarootime and the contactless features that we have natively within our software. And then we can transition over to Engeline, and we can talk about the Kisi and how that seamlessly integrates with Kangarootime software.
Awesome. Okay. So there are a few of you that are Kangarootime customers. And you might not even know about our partnership with Kisi, but let me kind of give you a high-level overview of what we do at Kangarootime. So we are an all-in-one platform for early education schools. We like to say we focus on three things. So we automate the business, so the revenue cycle, payments, demographics. We now do scheduling, so employee scheduling. Our platform essentially is a replacement on the automation of the business side for something like ProCare or EasyCare, and then it's also a replacement for something like Homebase or When I Work, a scheduling software or software that helps you manage your human capital management. The second thing we do is we automate the classroom. So we give your teachers those nudges and prompts on our tablet app that help them administer feedings, write beautiful multimedia rich daily reports so that parents are getting a stream of a consciousness view of what's going on with their child's day. So we prompt them to take photos. We keep track of photos. Very soon, we'll be going into a full learning delivery platform. So we're very excited about that. Third thing we do is parent engagement. So our parents, they have our app. They're able to open your front doors by touching the back of their phone with the partnership that we have with Kisi, so they can open the door. We invented touchless check-in and check-out and the ability to do that like at the door. So a non-kiosk dependent approach to checking in and checking out. So for many of you, I know that you've gone to a strategy of not letting parents into the center or mitigating what comes through your front door, be it with dirty shoes, parents that might not have been tested, but doing those handoffs at the door and completely isolating that. Our check-in and check-out feature, which I'll get into, completely automates that. But before I move on, the one concept or the one feature I don't want to leave out for many of you that have multiple centers, and this is something that we've worked with the Kisi integration, is an enterprise layer. So being able to see what's going on in multiple centers and switch back and forth. So, as we've taken on existing and providing for our customers, the concerns our direction has changed from being relentlessly prioritizing the point of care tools, the tools that help with the revenue cycle, more to child safety and family safety, and of course staff safety. So that has been a big one for us, and you'll see it in our software very soon. I think next week or the week after, the child health check launches. So when a child is checked in at the door, the teacher will actually be prompted to do an initial check-in and a health check and answer 4, 5, 6 questions, whatever your state guidance is telling you. And then from there, they'll be asked a certain number of times per day according to the state guidance. And being able to properly support your staff through this time. For anybody who was on our webinar yesterday with Hani Wilshansky, we discussed the mental health elements and the mental health crisis that we have with the number of attempted suicides and suicides that we're hearing about within the industry. Also, another parallel is within childcare. So giving equipping your centers with tools that allow you to properly deploy safety measures is really, really important. Not only should you be thinking about this at the product level, but there are a number of resources, again, back to the experts that we've been working with. We recently launched some reopening guides for you with some direction and some guidance. We partnered with many of the experts that we've been working with. They're full of best practices and how you can operate with confidence in the COVID-19 world. One guide focuses on operating your center and creating policies, while the other one is about communicating with parents. I think all of you out there have been faced with the concept of what is the right tone of voice. You know, where do we sit with tone of voice? How do we convey an aura of confidence and we've got this and we're doing all the right things versus the caution that we all need to exercise. These are great resources. You can download these on our blog, right, Genevieve? There are links to these in the blog.
Yeah, so they're currently up on our blog, and I'll share the link in the chat, and then we'll also include in our follow-up email tomorrow, links to them for everyone who's in attendance today.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Just real quick overview to some of the areas where we're starting to really focus and create some some defensibility around what you're doing as a center to assure, one, teachers aren't touching and sharing daily reports. Also handing, a daily report that might have been touched, a paper daily report that might have been configured by multiple educators in a classroom, and then giving those and passing those through to teachers, leaving all those assets and all that collateral in a digitized world, which I know many of you use our Kangarootime rooming app, but having that digitized is a huge advantage. Online payments. We went into, before all this went down, I went into a center near our headquarters, and the owner was sitting there saying, I cannot wait until you guys spin up billing, because they were just kind of like, they were pre-installation, and she had over 300 payments sitting on her desk. So if you can just imagine the number of touches a non-digital payment has. Not just that, we sat there and we watched her process as she logged checks and she keyed everything into the system. And that was like we watched her do like 2 or 3 checks, but that's a 4-hour process when you're looking at over 300 payments. Just digitizing, creating some automation, some throughput. Our platform's really, we've really leaned into some automation and some flywheels that create automation. Like one big example is if there's a late payment or if somebody has not paid by the time their payments are due, not only are they getting a reminder inside the Kangarootime parent app, Kangarootime will also generate the late fee. And I know many of you manage some very loving, maternal, the best qualities in the world, but they aren't necessarily super diligent on assuring that your revenue cycle is efficient as it should be because they're loving. This is probably the wrong way to put it, but let your software lean on the concept of keeping your revenue cycle true and all your payments on time, and let your people do what they do, right? And then obviously we've talked about the check-in and check-out. This is also a really beautiful feature used in conjunction with the Kisi app. So if a parent or a family, well, let's use a few examples. If you're a parent and you are authenticated or authorized to pick up a child during normal times, using Kisi, you are automatically allowed into the building. What Kisi allows us to do is provide some guardrails and some controls around that. So we have a pandemic, we can allow people to check in and check out, and then Kisi is prolific enough to not let parents in the door, but let staff into the door, because we're no longer, we've changed our check-in and check-out policy. This has also had some huge advantages as we were building it, and I'll tell you guys, like, and Bernard knows this, one of the beauties of building a product is the miracles happen every day in production, in the real world, in the wild, as we call it. So, we started to have parents come to us saying, this is really cool because the way that we used to, so if we got stuck at work and I needed grandma to go pick up my child, I have to call, we'd have to do like a driver's license exchange. But with the Kangarootime app, we can add them as a guardian, give them privileges, even for a limited time. And then they can go in and they just have to take a selfie and assure that their picture is in their profile when they get to the door. So really cool stuff. For many of you, for us, for Kisi, we are tech companies. We live in a world of instant messaging, you know, the modern instant messaging platforms like Slack and Microsoft Teams and HipChat. There are so many of them. So we built our own. As a Kangarootime customer, you have access to now, I think it's 4 different messaging and communication modalities. So you can set up a channel style chat like Slack in Kangarootime, and you can create channels like the toddler parents. You can create a channel like just your staff. You can create a channel for a broadcast where people can't reply. We also have SMS texting. So crazy enough, the most unpolluted messaging modality in 2020 today, if you really want high engagement, 95% in less than 15 minutes, send somebody a text. People check their texts. And we tried to deny that. We tried to for years. But bottom line, text is so super powerful. And in the attention graph stack, text is number 1. So we added text about a month ago as we were starting to hear from our customers, hey, we need to send updates that aren't necessarily bi-directional. We just need to send updates to our staff, which by the way, some of them aren't responding to messages or even emails, and they're on unemployment and we don't know how to. So can you please implement text for our parents and our staff? So we did that. The other one's email. Kangarootime has the ability to push out email. And then we have our traditional messaging platform. So we have a chat style messaging and then a traditional that looks more like a newsletter. So there are 4 different modalities. Let's see. Okay, I'm stuck. That's it? Oh, I'm stuck because that's it. Bernard, do I need to do anything to?
Yeah, so Scott, I got a little bit of a curveball here. Bernard.
All right, fire away.
So Bernard is in here twice. So if you can go in and promote the other Bernard as well to be a panelist, please.
Okay. What's he doing? Like, he's always throwing curveballs like that. There he is. There's the handsome German.
Hey guys.
Hey man, how are you? Thanks for joining.
I'm good. Thanks for promoting me. It's been a while since I got promoted last time.
You know what? Yeah, when you're the CEO, you never get promoted. You're just stuck. There's
nice
no
feeling,
upward mobility. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we have prepared a couple of slides. Engeline, do you want to share those?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share them now. Thank you.
So I think Scott mentioned it already, and thanks for having us on this webinar. But at Kisi, I think we started around 2012. And we work with many different verticals to make, physical security more enjoyable, but also, in the end, safe, and now hopefully also healthy. And we have been doing collaborations with Kangarootime for a while now. And we just wanted to give you a little bit of background on the company real quick before Engeline dives into the details. Basically we started in 2012 as like a mobile, we thought it's like a cool idea to use your mobile phone to unlock the door. Basically having a wallet on your phone that you can use instead of keys. And what we quickly realized is that, over the time, there's much more to it than just having it on your phone. There's reporting and there's like all the administrators benefits that come with it. So it's more like a method of getting people in and out the door seamlessly and securely, on and offboard them easily. And what this contributes to over time is like a great, culture. Everyone who should be getting in gets in the door, and it's secure. No one has to worry about anything. And in the end, you have like a full audit trail of who came in at what time and stuff like that. So you don't have to worry about that either. So we are based out of New York City, but we, have clients nationwide. We also ship pretty much worldwide, but most of our customers are in North America. And if you go to the next slide, basically you see that, we work with a lot of different industries. And the benefit of that is, that we sometimes partner in a specific industry, such as this one, with a strong player, in this case, Kangarootime, exclusively to provide a better value of those two systems combined. And the benefit of us working with other verticals, such as, industrial companies or retail as well, is that there's feature requests they have that, maybe in education sector are not, yet requested, but could be useful as well. And those get deployed as well for everyone as we roll out new features. So for example, tech companies frequently want to keep their door unlocked during certain hours. Very useful for educational facilities as well, and preschools. So that made a lot of sense to roll that out, or like to have the ability for sending out guest links to people, so they don't have to worry about any kind of app that they don't know yet. So there's many different use cases you can dive into, but I think the main use case we focus on is the integrated use case with Kangarootime that Engeline will present to you.
Yeah, thanks, Bernard.
Actually, one thing,
Sure.
just because I forgot it, I know the problem firsthand. I have a 3-year-old toddler, and I'm known for notoriously forgetting signing off on the check-in sheet before it was unhealthy. And I got in trouble a couple times already, so I know the problem that we are solving here. Sorry.
It's a pretty common problem, it seems like, and that's why they kind of solved that before there was really this fundamental need. So it's really all coming together full circle. But kind of just to reiterate what you were talking about, and thanks for the introduction, Kisi has really worked for different verticals, including technology companies, manufacturing companies, and retail companies, to name a few. But as you can see here, we actually work with childcare centers and preschools, and we have been working with them for several years now. But recently, we've definitely seen a spike in demand, for the reasons we've already touched on so far. So just to kind of summarize, based on the CDC's guidance, schools working together with local health departments really have an important role in slowing the spread of diseases and also protecting their vulnerable students and staff to ensure that their children have safe and healthy learning environments. And there really are multiple strategies you can implement in order to prepare for and also respond to a pandemic such as COVID-19. If this were to happen again, how can you get ahead of it next time? Especially when there is no existing community transmission, or what the CDC calls a preparedness phase. So this is before anything really happens. So today we'll actually be focusing on using Kisi's pandemic mode access control features as one of the strategies that schools and childcare centers can use to help slow the spread of any sort of virus. So before we actually jump into the features themselves, we wanted to kind of highlight some of the concerns you guys might already be facing today from different stakeholders. So from a parent perspective, you can really imagine that healthy hand hygiene behavior is top of mind, as you can see, using the using the kiosk, or even exchanging payments. Now all of this is moving digital, which both Scott and Bernard kind of touched on. And it's kind of our staff's responsibility to kind of help promote those good habits outside of the home as well. Secondly, they might be wondering, from a parent's perspective, is it even safe to bring their children or even go themselves to the facility? They're not really entirely sure who else is entering the space, what their medical history looks like. So maybe they're now starting to think of what screening methods their childcare center is implementing. And then lastly, this one I think is really important, especially with Kangarootime and Kisi, but how does drop off and pickup work? So before, what once used to be a gathering of children and parents together all in one place, that really is not something that can take place any longer. So now moving forward, we have to kind of figure out how can we retain that same happiness of rejoining with our children while also eliminating any sort of discomfort associated with, not social distancing and things like that. Next, you obviously have to consider your employee concerns. These men and women are really the core part of making your childcare centers or school a home away from home. And with some of the challenges we're facing today, their focus might be more on, how do I social distance, or is my job stable? Do I have financial stability? I'm really worried about my high-risk coworkers. These are really things that are now weighing heavily on our employees' minds, more so than educating and making the children feel comfortable, which is something that as an owner and operator is a key thing that we want to kind of prevent and help out with. Which brings me to my next point. So, it really all depends on how you as a child care center owner and operator are communicating and sending a message in terms of how you're responding to everything going on, which is really the point of why we brought you all here together. It's to kind of be a support system and kind of guide you through these next phases in reopening, or if you've stayed open, what are the steps you can take to continue to respond in the proper way. So of course, awareness and response is number one. Growth and maybe shifting strategies is another big concern. But then of course, like I think Scott was touching on this, the mental health of employees and children is also very important to keep tabs on. And I think if you continue to communicate the message that you're paying attention and you're doing the things necessary to address that, you're going in the right direction there. So now how does that kind of relate to Kisi and Kangarootime? So as we were mentioning, there's a bunch of different features that you guys can utilize to address some of these concerns that you may be facing. So number one would be limiting your door access. Our system makes it incredibly easy to create different access groups, whether it be for staff, guests, contractors, or parents. And you can also limit door times and create customized scheduled unlocks, or really maintain a lock on your door at all times if that's better. I think this would be useful for example, if you, at the end of the day, everyone's left the building, now you're practicing an entire sanitization of the place. You want to ensure that when you enter the space the next morning, it's exactly how you left it. So knowing who has access, when they have access, and only when they should have access is very important. The second component would be with the Kisi and Kangarootime integration is the tap to unlock feature, where you can simultaneously unlock the door and check in your child at the same time, which we've seen is definitely a growing feature that is in high demand, so that people don't forget to check in their child and they also don't have to really touch any sort of door handle or anything like that. We really recommend moving forward, opting into maybe automatic door openers or different alternatives to just a regular door handle. I've been getting a lot of emails now with handles that you use your foot instead of your hand, and it sounds kind of silly, but it's something that people are starting to create and develop and implement as a response. And then lastly, you can consider doing scheduled drop-off and pickup times. If you stagger your arrival times, that will limit direct contact as much as possible. And then ideally with Kangarootime, that app, you can limit who has access to pick up your child. So you might be a primary guardian, but if for some reason you can't be the person to pick up the child, then like we were talking about before, you'd have to get kind of pre-approval for that and make sure that they have access to the space if you're appointing somebody else to do that. So these are all things you can easily do when implementing our softwares together. Now, what would be the result of this? Kind of going back to addressing those concerns, both parents and employees will trust you and your enhanced proactive safety measures. The focus will start shifting less from physical security, social distancing, the pandemic altogether, and we can then focus more on education and core job function and putting the children first. And then lastly, of course, compliance with CDC guidelines to make sure you're doing the right thing, and not just temporarily, but implementing long-term solutions as well. So kind of to touch on a little bit more of that kioskless access and check-in to kind of see it more on hand in terms of our product. These are 3 different ways you can actually check in or access the space. So for guests and contractors, you can use what's called a Kisi email link. It's a mobile key that's very temporary. You can set validity dates. So if it's only for 24 hours, if it's for a week, you can customize that, and only during that time frame can they access the space. They don't have to download an app. They don't have to sign up or anything like that. They just go directly through their email and browser, which is pretty cool. Secondly, for staff or administrators, they can actually swipe directly within our Kisi app to unlock a door as well, as seen in the middle image. And then from a parent and single app user experience, any guardians, they can go directly within the Kangarootime and, like we showed before, check in and unlock doors all within one place. Again, highlighting all like touchless solutions here. So here, just to kind of highlight, because access control, it seems pretty straightforward, but I think seeing a demo of what our product actually offers in terms of the software side is really helpful. So we're just going to play a short video here for you guys.
Welcome to Kisi. Kisi is an easier type of access control solution for businesses, bringing all of your security needs into one location and integrating with some of the tools you already use. Sign into your Kisi dashboard easily from any device and establish your location by setting up different facilities called Kisi Places. Receive status updates anytime, anywhere. The dashboard gives you 24/7 health monitoring and remote access to all of your places with over-the-air real-time updates for future-proof access control. See exactly how many people have access to different doors using access groups. Select the groups function to change the settings. Set a geofence around your doors to prevent accidental remote unlocks. This restriction ensures that users must be near the premises to unlock the door. Set a primary device restriction to accurately track all users and prevent them from sharing logins. Or set a reader restriction where users can only enter the facility if they are within a few feet of a Kisi reader. Customize your doors with time-based access to enforce when different access groups or specific users can enter your place. Browse the Members tab and share keys with any user within your place. Add or remove members from any access group using just an email address. Allow specific groups to access select doors with one click. Whether it's an unlock through the Kisi app, a key card, or a temporary URL link for visitors or short-term freelancers. Create start and end dates. Check out the Events tab and use the filter to sort out all unlocks of any particular door by any specific user within any defined time frame. Use the Event Exports tab to quickly audit a particular door or user. Customize member profiles with their photo and contact information. Enable card access using a Kisi token code. Kisi offers the most integrations on the market, and our open API allows admins to customize Kisi for their use case. Customize your company's profile with photos of the space and your company logo. We want to hear from you. You can contact us at getkisi.com/contact us.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that brief video demo. Let me go ahead and see if I can get out of there. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here we are highlighting more of that feature that you guys saw in that video demo of creating access groups. So going back to, how we can use our platform in addition with Kangarootime to make that integration work. So again, focusing on the access group is primarily what you'll need to set up the integration. It's very straightforward. You'll just create an access group specific to Kangarootime, as you can see here on the slide. And you can set different security parameters based on your own preferences. So you can create door restrictions for that group. So maybe just for the main entrance, you can create location restrictions using the geofence that we showed you in the demo, along with maybe a time restriction. So from only for certain hours or specific arrival times if it's for parents. And then what you would need to do is just simply add Kangarootime support, and they will kind of finalize the integration, make sure everything's in order for you. And then lastly, for the Kangarootime side, when you're onboarding your parents, you just want to make sure they have the app installed. Their location services access is granted to the app, and also have their Bluetooth turned on. And that's just what you'll need to get it functioning. And then finally, there is also just like a hardware component. It's pretty straightforward. What you would need is a Kisi reader installed at the access point, along with any standard electronic door lock. And then you would need a controller in a central IT room or IT closet. And this would bring, everything from the Kisi integration with Kangarootime, but of course you have mobile access, guest link access, remote access management, and something we found has also been a pretty highly requested feature for schools, daycare centers, is remote lockdown if you want absolutely nobody to enter the space at a given time. So we found that pretty useful as well. Now, you're probably wondering, we obviously want to touch on this a little bit, but how much would this type of solution cost in terms of access control? It is a one-time upfront investment, but typically the clients that we work with install anywhere from 1 to 3 doors per location. And for one door, you might expect a total budget of about $1,000 to $3,000, and that includes everything start to finish. So it would include Kisi equipment, all of the hardware, all the locking mechanisms, and then of course installation of the entire system. So any wiring, any setup of the locks, any configuration, and then of course testing of the system as well. And we know that things are slowly reopening, or if they are opening, a lot of changes are taking place at this time. So we did want to put this together, share some of these useful resources. And of course, if this is something you're interested in, we are actually running a special for Kangarootime customers. Since this is a feature that's pretty highly requested, we're offering 20% discount on our hardware. And then if you have any questions on the actual software pricing, you can get in touch with your Kangarootime sales representative to discuss that further. But with that said, we'd love to answer any questions. I think we still have about 15 minutes left. So if there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. If we don't get to them, we can always, answer you via email as well.
Engeline, while we're waiting, I will say this. So Kangarootime has a new staff app, and
Cool.
The staff app currently does not have the embedded Kisi app, but that is coming. So that will be out, I think, sometime before the end of this year, which is great. And the staff
And that
app,
will allow for staff to also similarly check in, correct?
yeah, and right now, our customers that are live, they use the Kisi application anyway. So, and this is a new concept for us. So our staff, our Kangarootime staff has never clocked in and clocked out on the mobile app. Mm-hmm. or on a mobile app because there hasn't been one, but that will change. So that'll get more and more integrated. The exciting part there is the app ecosystem for staff allows them to request time off, of course, clock in, clock out, access to Kisi doors. So instead of having to keep a Kisi profile with all your staff, you'll just have one profile.
Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, so good question. So it looks like your center, somebody asked, your center has ProCare for billing, and they aren't really wanting to switch over to a new billing quite yet. We get that all the time. however interested in an app for parent communication and check in and check out, contactless, can we partner in some way with the software without purchasing the whole program? That is a yes, absolutely. In fact, I see a couple names on here. They do the opposite. They use our billing, but they have not yet started using our parent engagement platform. Again, we're here as a company to be stewards and serve our early education business owners. So whatever works, and that model does work. So you can start with parent engagement and spin up all your families. And if the opportunity strikes, I know that our billing platform is a little more robust than ProCare's, but we won't get into that. But again, these decisions are often hard to turn the glacier. But absolutely, that's something that can be done. Engeline, so have you guys seen a spike in business, or we've seen our centers really start to lean into, in fact, I have an anecdote or a story. We have a customer that has about 20 centers, and he called me one day and he said, I don't understand what you guys are trying to do to us. This concept of having a family check in and check out with this app, it's stealing time away that we get from personal contact with our families. And I said, I tried to explain it. We're actually trying to do the opposite. We don't want their heads buried into a sign-in clipboard. We want them taking care of it quickly with a fast workflow. So fast forward about 4 months ago, 14 weeks ago, he calls me and says, hey, we've got to start using it because, it really creates a contact-free modality for our parents to sign in. And we're starting to see it. We're starting to get customers that call us saying, hey, we heard you guys allow families to sign in and sign out without having to use a QR code or without having to use their fingerprint, which is the industry standard right now. You have to go and bio ID in. But for us, it's been a big one. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think definitely the demand and the interest has always been there, but now we've seen more interest because of the need. So I think the need is more present. And it's really, like you said, it's not something that's an option. It's kind of something that they need to start moving towards and implementing. So it's something that they can implement in terms of our hardware. It's a future-proof solution. So what comes with implementing it for this particular case, might end up applying for other different cases as well in the future, which is also another key thing about both of our solutions. Like you said, you're building out different functions as you get more feedback from your users. And that's exactly what we're doing as well. This is kind of something that we had in place already before we knew there was a need. And now, again, like we're saying, it's something that centers are reaching out to us because it's something that they actually do need now. So I'm on board with that as well. We were having the same kind of conversations.
Maybe extending that a little bit. So what we've also seen and why we actually built this product in the first place is, in the beginning, people are typically thinking, oh, physical security, well, maybe I need it, maybe not. And, it's kind of like an insurance. I don't want anyone to come in and steal anything. But now it's really almost like a operations flow tool. Like, everyone has to kind of be registered for our site before they come on site. And they need to have like on-demand access to the site before they can come into the building or into the facility. And that's kind of like puts us more as a physical security product, more into the discussion of, hey, how can we provide a better workplace or real estate experience, right? So, and that's kind of the new aspect where people seem to value security products a lot different and maybe also more.
Yep. Yeah, I think security get to a multiple on your brand, right? Like it gives you, and in fact, Bernard, like when we first started the partnership, one of our early customers was super excited about her tours, because on tours, you know, she was able to, like a prospective family that was not vetted, she could do things like share a temporary access between this time and, like, if your tour's at 8 o'clock, at 7:59 you're able to use the Kisi invitation and token to get in the door for your tour. And she told us, you know, this feature, like that act right there, it shows a prioritization of security. So when we're on our tours, like she was getting feedback of, wow, this is really cool, you know, I didn't have to wait for you to buzz me in. You obviously vetted me. You guys have a security thesis, which I love. And yeah, that sings quality when new families or prospective families are coming into your center. So that's huge. What was it? Oh, we have another partner, Childcare CRM. And I think one of the tenets of our partnership is always looking for value. So if there's something that customers give us back, we have these opportunities to give feedback. Bernard, you and I, we talk about the product quality. We both have organizations that really relentlessly prioritize customer success. So that's another big one. That's huge. And again, these miracles with product, they just happen, right? Like who would have ever thought the tour invite would have been a big one? Is the door keyless access have an option to use audio, such as if someone goes to the door that we do not know, can we ask who they are and to identify themselves?
So that's maybe a question I could take. Funny thing is what I mentioned earlier, right? You benefit from different use cases in different industries. And obviously we have a lot of technology companies, and you know, some of them are nerdy enough that they do those use cases. In fact, we're launching it on our website right now, and one company is actually using Siri for unlocking the door. So when you're in front of walking towards the door, you know, the San Francisco style engineer just says, hey, Siri, you know, please unlock the door. And then the door unlocks. But to my knowledge, this doesn't yet include speech authentication or language processing, basically. But as soon as Apple offers that based on Siri, we could do that, definitely. And that's the cool thing about the product, is that we can keep rolling these things out, and you'll just add it as it's released. And, you know, just touching on what Scott said, is that, you know, the cool thing is really not only that security can be, you know, keeping your facility healthy and secure with the people you already know, but that you also enable new business to happen easier. And I think that's kind of, it's when security becomes a business enabler, that's really cool. And especially what we've seen, since you asked about what the trends we've seen, Scott, is like, you know, people are really worried about audit trail. Like if someone sick was on site during a certain time, the administrator has to really easily find out who else was there during that time. And so let's say you have someone touring the facility, later it turns out that that person maybe was sick or some scenario, then you can easily go back, export the log from that time or that day, and then you can prove who has been there and who probably wasn't. So I think that's kind of like another cool use case. And what we've seen in the market also is that people really go all crazy about it with like thermal scanning and mask scanning, stuff like that. And we support those use cases, but we think like that's more like stock listed companies who have to report to their shareholders to do really everything that's possible. But I think that is a little too much. But if someone wants to go all in, we'll support those use cases. But I think, like keeping the balance between what's technically possible and what's still a good experience is also important.
And Bernard, I think one of the big benefits and one of the reasons we decided to work with you was in our classroom automation platform, it has a real-time location system. So like one of the things that we really push hard on is having an audit trail. I know that many of our centers, in fact, I can think of Pillars in Texas, they have multi-door configuration. So not only can you authenticate, like you could put a Kisi door lock reader on every single door, every single classroom, and you would have a chain of custody, and that combined with the tracking system inside Kangarootime. But yeah, one of the big pluses is, I see Kisi as kind of a security strategy, whereas many of our competitors, they have the keypad at the door, at the front door, and there's not a lot of there's not enough of a prolific backend to manage, somebody with a profile or a token on their phone being able to access certain rooms but not others. Same with staff. All right. Well, guys, great info. We really appreciate the partnership. By the way, Kisi was one of our sponsors at the Bounce conference that we didn't get to have this year. We are crossing our fingers that we will be partying in Buffalo next year. But
looking forward to it.
Yeah, time will tell. But you are our brethren in startup world and in New York. So, guys, thanks for joining. If you have any questions, please direct them to info@kangarootime.com. Genevieve will get you a response within seconds, I promise. And thank you, everybody. Really enjoyed having you on. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please reach out to us if we can help you. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks
Take
a lot,
care.
guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I guess.
See you guys. Bye.